2023 is the 50th anniversary of hip-hop, and in those 50 years, hip-hop has spread all over the world, influenced just about everything, and produced some massive stars. And one of the biggest forces in hip-hop and popular culture in general is Snoop Dogg. I mean, really, if I were to cover everything about Snoop Dogg, this video would be hours long. Now, when I make these videos, the first step is research. I gotta make sure I get the facts straight. Not something I think I remember hearing years ago, or a random screenshot from a blog that's quoting a book that's out of print now, or whatever. I try hard to make sure I'm doing the music and the story justice, celebrating it, and having fun in the process. So when I heard the new words and music title on Audible, I got excited. They're supporting the 50th anniversary of hip-hop with a new story from Snoop Dogg titled From the Streets to the Suites. This is Snoop telling his own story in his own words. Actually, not just words. As the name implies, there are musical moments throughout. Today, I'm going to tell you about some of my favorite parts from this story, and we'll see how Snoop Dogg has been a driving force in hip-hop, standing on the shoulders of giants who came before him, helping hip-hop take over the world, and maybe, just maybe, there's a mashup at the end combining moments he references all throughout his story. Just take a guess what the first words are that Snoop says in this story. James Brown. Snoop says that James Brown told him before he died that he was the hardest working man in the music industry now, and it's Snoop's job to take it where he couldn't take it. I love this because hip-hop came out of the music of artists like James Brown. James Brown grooves are a crucial part of what hip-hop was built on. Snoop himself even sampled James Brown's Papa Don't Take No Mess for his 1996 song Vapors. Check it out, here's the James Brown groove. Slow it down.
Can you feel it? Nothing can shake you, for this is the season of catching the villains. And since I got time, what I'm gonna do is tell you how I spread it throughout my crew.
James Brown is one of the main connectors from funk and soul into hip-hop, so the fact that he told Snoop this, gave him his blessing like this, that's incredible. Oh, you know what? I like that drum groove. Final mashup ingredient number 1, the James Brown drums. Snoop talks all about his childhood growing up in Long Beach, how his mother made him sing in church, and how he fell in love with music at an early age. Music just made him feel incredible. He mentions the first record he ever bought. What do you think it is? Rick James, or like George Clinton? It was actually Ring My Bell by Anita Ward. The way it sounded and the way he felt after hearing it, it just did something to him. And it's easy to see why. I mean, when you think of this song, you may think of the vocal line on the chorus, but focus on the groove. It feels amazing. You may not necessarily think of this song when you think of Snoop, but it actually makes sense. This song feels amazing, and it's the same thing with Snoop's music. His flow is so smooth, the beat makes you feel good. It's a completely different genre, but the effect is the same. But like, check this out. Here's Ring My Bell. Let's slow it down. We gotta go slower, so I gotta drag my finger here. Let's see if we can get this. Right around there, here we go. It feels like that pew sound effect, pew, from Ring My Bell sort of morphs into the synth line from Gin and Juice. This song was produced by Dr. Dre and matched with Snoop's delivery, you just can't beat it. You know what? 2 more mashup ingredients. The guitar and melodic stuff from Ring My Bell. We'll take that. And then Snoop's vocal on Gin and Juice is just too good not to use. Right now I'm using musical examples to help tell this story, and the cool thing is, that's exactly what Snoop Dogg's words and music Audible story is like. I love Audible, so I'm excited that they're sponsoring this video. Like I said, this story, From the Streets to the Suites, is Snoop Dogg telling his story in his own words. But it's got background music throughout, and Snoop even performs several of his biggest songs with a live band and DJ exclusively for this. What better way to celebrate the 50th anniversary of hip-hop than by hearing Snoop's story directly from the man himself with brand new live performances? You may know Audible for their audiobooks, and those are great too, but this is something different. It feels like you're sitting down with Snoop as he talks about his life, his music, and his impact. And then in between stories, he stands up and performs a song. You can listen to this for free on Audible today by visiting audible.com/streets to suites, or text Streets to Suites to 500-500 to try Audible free for 30 days. Audible is a crucial tool for me as I'm digging through music and researching the stories behind it. I use a little bit of everything. Sometimes it's the internet, sometimes it's print books. Like, these aren't just fun props. But being able to listen on Audible means it's so easy. I can listen on my computer or take it with me on the Audible app. You know what? I got a long drive this weekend. Let's see what we got on here. Like I said, it's not just audiobooks. They've got podcasts too, and the Words and Music series is an Audible original. You're hearing directly from the artists that made some of your favorite music, in their own words, plus music. That's the name of the series, Words and Music. Audible has stories from artists who defined hip-hop. Stories that speak to its history and stories that remind us of its cultural importance. Like, check this out. Here's a Words and Music title from Chuck D. Another one from Common. Here's one from Tariq Trotter, aka Black Thought from The Roots. Hang on just a sec, I gotta add these in my library. I'm gonna keep going with the rest of the video in a second, but again, if you want to listen to the new Snoop Dogg Words and Music story on Audible for free, here's how. New members can try Audible free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/streets to suites or text streets to suites to 500-500 to try Audible free for 30 days. Just to give you an idea of how good this story is, one of my favorite moments in Streets to Suites is when Snoop is talking about the song Lottie Dottie off his first album, Doggy Style. He says that no one had completely redone a hip-hop song before, and he wanted to pay homage to Slick Rick and his classic Lottie Dottie. Snoop's verse on his version is almost identical to Slick Rick's, with just a few things changed. Snoop explains in the story that he wanted to pay respect to the hip-hop forefathers who didn't have the benefit of MTV and all the other cultural buzz that he had during his time. So he's throwing it back to get some attention to the hip-hop pioneers who paved the way for him. And then after he tells this story, the live band kicks in and Snoop performs a live version of Lottie Dottie just for this story. Again, go to audible.com/streets to suites or text streets to suites to 500-500. Link in the description. Go check it out. Snoop talks all about meeting Dr. Dre, joining Death Row Records, and how he had nothing but love for the East Coast hip-hop scene. Before West Coast hip-hop exploded, that's all he had to listen to. That's why he wanted to pay respect to Slick Rick with Lottie Dottie, which, yeah, I gotta grab part of that for the ending mashup too. So, the 95 Source Awards. Infamous moment in the East Coast-West Coast beef. He explains that he was more confused than anything, which is why he said, the East Coast ain't got no love for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg? The crazy thing about Snoop Dogg is he started in hip-hop, but today he's so much bigger than that. When he left Death Row for No Limit, that's when he says he learned about business and what it takes to be successful in other areas. It's ironic that leaving Death Row Records is the very thing that would prepare him for later buying Death Row. But we'll talk about that more in a second. Snoop is on Dr. Dre's The Chronic from 1992, released his debut album Doggy Style in 1993, and he's released so many more albums, but it wouldn't be until 2004, over a decade after he started, that he'd get his first #1 hit, Drop It Like It's Hot. This album continued Snoop's career by bringing in the Neptunes to produce several songs, featuring Pharrell on vocals on a few, and in the case of Drop It Like It's Hot, stripping down the production entirely. I mean, this beat is very simple, but then if you put on top of that this vocal, I mean, come on. Iconic. And while he was nervous about how Dr. Dre would react to this new music, Dre loved it and Snoop ended up with a huge hit. Man, I gotta grab a part from that too. There's just too much good music. This mashup's gonna be fun. Snoop has also done a lot outside of music, from acting to business ventures, investing, TV shows, coaching a youth football team, and his ventures with unexpected partners like Martha Stewart. He's solidified himself as a huge force in popular culture. But even though Snoop Dogg is now much more than a rapper, he's not giving up his musical roots. In 2022, Snoop acquired Death Row Records, and just a few days later, he performed at the Super Bowl halftime show alongside Dr. Dre, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, 50 Cent, and Anderson .Paak. And later that year, he announced he was working on a new album with Dr. Dre. In the past 50 years, hip-hop has changed the world, and a huge driving force behind that is Snoop Dogg. Not only through his music, but by influencing popular culture in general. Seriously, I challenge you to find one person who doesn't know who Snoop Dogg is. You know, after listening to this Audible story and hearing how Snoop has stood on the shoulders of giants like James Brown and Slick Rick and made classic songs like Gin and Juice with Dr. Dre or Drop It Like It's Hot with Pharrell, there's only one thing left to do: mash it all up. That's James Brown drums. I need awards on top of that. See what else we can do.
So much drama in the LBC, it's kinda hard being Snoop Dogg double G. But I somehow, some way, keep coming up with funky ass shit like every single day. May I kick a little something for the G's and make a few wins as I breeze through 2 in the morning and the party still jumping cause my mama ain't home. I got in the living room getting it on and they ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. So what you wanna do? Yeah, I got a pocket full of rubbers and my homeboys do too. So turn off the lights and close the doors. But for what? We don't let it hold. Yeah. So we gon' smoke an ounce to that. G's up, hoes down, while you up bounce to that.
Rolling down the street, smoking in out, sipping on gin and pills.
Naughty dotty, we like to party.
With my mind on my money and my money and my mind.
Rolling down the street, smoking in out, sipping on gin and
We don't cause trouble, we don't bother nobody.
With my mind on my money and my money and my mind.
Another massive cultural icon is Jay-Z, and with his classic song 99 Problems, he paired up with Rick Rubin to make a song that simultaneously showcases his lyrical ability while taking a victory lap through hip-hop history. For that story though, you gotta click here.